Last time we mastered OAuth 2.0, PKCE, access tokens, refresh tokens, the whole flow. But OAuth only answers one question. What can this app do? It never answers. Who are you? OAuth gives you an access token. Think of it as a key card. It knows the scope. It knows the expiry. But that key card doesn't have your name, your email, your photo. The app has no idea who just logged in. Enter OpenID Connect, the identity layer built on top of OAuth, and single sign-on, the technology that lets you log in once and access everything. This is part 3 of our API authentication series. Here's the simplest way to understand OIDC. OAuth is like a boarding pass. It tells you the flight, the seat, the gate, but there's no name on it, and no photo. Anyone holding it can board. Now, OIDC. OIDC is the passport. It has your name, your photo, your nationality, all verified, all digitally signed by a trusted authority. The boarding pass gets you on the plane. The passport proves exactly who you are. And here's the key insight. OIDC doesn't replace OAuth. It extends it. There are just 3 additions. First, the scope includes OpenID. That's the signal that says, I want identity, not just authorization. Second, you get an ID token, a JWT that carries who the user is. And third, there's a user info endpoint where your app can fetch a detailed profile. Think of it as a stack. HTTP handles transport. OAuth 2.0 handles authorization. And OpenID Connect sits right on top, handling authentication, proving identity. Same foundation, new capabilities layered on. Let me walk you through how an OpenID Connect flow actually works, step by step. It starts exactly like OAuth. Your app sends an authorization request to the identity provider, but this time, look at the scope. It includes OpenID. That one word changes everything. It tells the provider, don't just give me access, tell me who this person is. And there's another new parameter, the nonce. It's a random string your app generates for replay protection. Remember it. We'll validate it later. The user logs in and they see the consent screen, just like OAuth. But this time, look at what it's asking. See your name. See your email address. See your profile photo. It's asking permission to share identity, not just API access. The user clicks Allow. Now here's where it gets interesting. The token response comes back, and it includes 2 tokens. The access token, that one you already know from part 2. But there's a new one, the ID token. This is the game changer. The access token is for API calls. Send it to the resource server. The ID token, that's for your app. It tells you exactly who just logged in. Let's crack open that ID token. It's a JWT, just like we covered in part 1, with a header, payload, and signature. Inside the payload, you'll find sub, the user's unique identifier. ISDR, the issuer, like accounts.google.com. A UD, the audience, which must match your client ID. Then there's the good stuff. Email, name, picture, and the nonce we sent earlier, it's echoed back for verification. All of this digitally signed. A tamper-proof identity card. There's also the user info endpoint. Send a GET request with the access token as a bearer token, and you get back the full profile. Name, email, picture, locale. Everything you need to personalize the experience. This distinction is critical, so let me make it crystal clear. The ID token is for your app. It answers, who is this user? It contains identity claims in a sub, email, name, picture. Your app reads it, validates it, and uses it to create a session. The access token is for the API. It answers, what can this user do? It contains scopes and permissions. You send it as a bearer token in API calls to the resource server. Different tokens, different audiences, different jobs. And here's the golden rule. Never send an ID token to an API. That's not what it's for. Never use an access token for identity. It wasn't designed for that. ID tokens identify. access tokens authorize. Mix them up, and you've got a security hole. Before your app trusts an ID token, you must validate it. 5 checks, non-negotiable. 1. Verify the signature using the provider's public keys, RS256. 2. Check the ISS claim matches your expected provider. 3. Check the AUD claim matches your client ID. 4. Check the nonce matches the one you sent. 5. Check the EXP hasn't passed. Skip any of these and you're vulnerable. Now let's talk about single sign-on. Imagine you work at a company with 8 different tools: email, HR portal, docs, chat, CRM, calendar, storage, admin. Without SSO, that's 8 different logins, 8 passwords, 8 login screens, every single morning. SSO fixes this. You log in once to a central identity provider, and every app is unlocked. 1 password, 1 login, done. The IDP authenticates you once, and then every app you open recognizes you instantly. Here's how SSO actually works with OIDC. You open your email app, it redirects you to the identity provider. You log in, username, password, maybe MFA. The IDP creates a session and sends an ID token back to the email app. You're in. Now, you open the Docs app. It also redirects to the IDP, but this time, the IDP already has your session. No login screen. It immediately issues an ID token back to the Docs app. Instant access. Seamless. The magic behind all of this is the IDP's session. It's the master session, the source of truth. As long as that session is alive, any new app that redirects to the IDP gets an instant ID token. Each app also creates its own independent session with its own expiry. But what about logging out? When you click Log Out, the IDP destroys its master session and cascades that destruction to every app session. Email, signed out. Docs, signed out. Chat, CRM, calendar, all gone. Single, log out. The undo button for SSO. Before OpenID Connect existed, there was another protocol doing the same job. SAML, short for Security Assertion Markup Language. Released in 2005, SAML became the standard for enterprise single sign-on. If you've used apps like Salesforce, Workday, ServiceNow, or SAP at work, there's a good chance SAML was running behind the scenes. Now, SAML is based on XML, and XML is verbose. A SAML assertion is packed with nested tags, namespaces, and angle brackets. Compare that to an OpenID Connect ID token, usually just a compact JSON web token or JWT. Same information: who the user is, who issued the token, and which app it's meant for. But instead of kilobytes of XML, you get a compact JSON-based token that can be decoded in a single line of code. Here's how SAML single sign-on works. The user first visits the application, which, in SAML terminology, is called the service provider. The service provider doesn't know who the user is yet, so it creates something called an authentication request and redirects the browser to the identity provider. The user authenticates with the identity provider, similar to OpenID Connect. The identity provider then creates a digitally signed SAML assertion containing the user's identity. Now here's the key difference. Instead of using a back-channel authorization code exchange like OpenID Connect, the browser directly posts the assertion back to the application's assertion consumer service endpoint. The application validates the signature, reads the assertion, and grants access. Now let's compare SAML and OpenID Connect side by side. SAML uses XML. OpenID Connect uses JSON and JWTs. SAML relies heavily on browser redirects and post requests. OpenID Connect supports modern back-channel flows. SAML assertions are large and verbose. OpenID Connect tokens are compact and lightweight. SAML was designed primarily for traditional enterprise web applications. OpenID Connect was designed for mobile apps, single-page apps, and modern architectures from the beginning. And while SAML still dominates many legacy enterprise systems, OpenID Connect is quickly becoming the modern standard. So which one should you use? If you're building a modern web app, a mobile app, or a single-page application, choose OpenID Connect. If you're integrating with an older enterprise platform that already supports SAML, then SAML is usually the practical choice. And in reality, most large companies support both. A central identity provider, like Okta or Microsoft Azure Active Directory, handles authentication for everything. Legacy systems like HR, payroll, and ERP platforms use SAML. Modern apps use OpenID Connect, one identity provider, two protocols, seamless identity across the entire organization. Let's zoom out and see the complete picture. Everything working together. The user clicks Sign in with Google. Your app sends an authorization request with scope equals OpenID plus PKCE. The user authenticates at Google. The authorization code comes back. Your app exchanges the code with the PKCE verifier and gets back two tokens, the ID token and the access token. Your app reads the ID token, Welcome Sarah Chen, and creates a session. Then it uses the access token to fetch calendar data from the API. Authentication, authorization, and identity, all in one flow. And that's the complete authentication trilogy. Before we wrap up, your OpenID Connect security checklist. Always validate the ID token's signature. Always. Verify the ISS and AUD claims. Make sure you know who issued it and that it was meant for you. Use and validate the nonce. It prevents replay attacks. Never use ID tokens for API access. That's what access tokens are for. Always use PKCE. We covered that in part 2, and it's non-negotiable. And implement proper session management. Don't let sessions live forever. 3 mistakes I see all the time. First, using the ID token as an API credential. The ID token is for your app, not the API. Use access tokens for API calls. Second, not validating the nonce. Without nonce validation, replay attacks become trivial. An attacker can reuse a stolen ID token. Always send and verify the nonce. Third, trusting tokens from any issuer. If you don't whitelist your trusted identity providers, forged tokens could grant unauthorized access. Always verify the issuer. So let's recap. OpenID Connect adds identity to OAuth. It's the passport on top of the boarding pass. The ID token and the access token work together, identity plus authorization. SSO lets you log in once and access everything. And SAML versus OIDC. Legacy versus modern, but both still alive in the real world. And with that, the authentication trilogy is complete. Part 1, Auth Fundamentals. Part 2, OAuth plus PKCE. Part 3, OpenID Connect plus SSO. If this series helped you understand how identity works on the modern web, hit like, subscribe, and share it with your team.